We got some huge Habs roster moves today as they made a signing and called up another center from Laval. There's a lot of implications from these two moves going forward for the Montreal Canadiens, so we're going to break those down. Plus, our boy Alex Newhook is back as a full participant in practice. The Habs roster is looking very different post All-Star break, and we're going to break it all down for you on this episode of Habs Digest. But before we get into the video, if you guys always want to stay up to date on all your Habs news, and you're part of the 50% of people that are watching this, the thousands of people that haven't hit that button, hit it now. We got your Habs news every single day. We're going to jump first into the moves, Jesse. We got a couple big ones today. The first one being Lucas Condotta. Now, a lot of us are familiar with Lucas Condotta. He was called up just before the All-Star break. He played a bit of fourth line center. He's a little bit of a depth forward. He's played well in Laval, and we called him back up. Now, a lot of people were thinking maybe we'd call up Joshua Waugh, maybe we'd call up someone else. Well, it seems like Condotta's one of them to fill center, but the other one that I think is maybe more interesting is Brandon Gignac, 26-year-old standout for Laval this year, 2-year, two-way contract, and as of today, he's officially on the team. He practiced with them today, which means if they want to waive him, or they want to send him down, he has to go through waivers, and Gignac is a speedy player. RHP said today he's one of the fastest players he's ever shared the ice with, 42 points in 43 games this year. Looks like he's going to be the center, Jesse, at least for the near future, considering the implications that they can't just send him down for nothing. What are your thoughts on these big moves today?
Yeah, definitely the reinforcements we need in light of the Sean Monahan trade, kind of getting a couple extra bodies to play the center ice for us. But I think it's a nice, move that Kent Hughes is really sending just the whole organization that if you play well, like Brandon Gignac has this year, that you're going to get rewarded. Even though he's 26, he's fifth in the AHL in scoring right now, leading the Laval Rocket in points and goals, a little bit of an edge to his game as well, right? So I kind of like, rewarding those type of players that play the game right, that are hardworking, that really go to the net. If he's getting praise from RHP, he's all right with me.
Yeah, for sure. He looks very interesting, and as of right now, Jesse, it looks like he's probably going to play the 3C role for the foreseeable future. And I think we're going to get into Newhook a bit later, who may or may not play center. But to me, this indicates, like, I don't know. I felt like they'd call up someone else, but right now with his contract being two-way, 2 years, and he's with the team right now. Again, he has to pass through waivers. I don't know if teams would claim him, but you got to think they would, at least for some AHL depth. Do you see him as maybe being one of those guys that can stick on the roster for maybe the rest of the season if the Habs decide to, like, I know there's a lot of talk right now about the Habs going all in on the tank train to try and get, Macklin Celebrini or something. Do you see Gignac as a guy that could maybe stick with the roster the rest of the way?
I absolutely do. I think that they want to give Joshua Waugh the time to kind of really develop in the AHL. When maybe the next time that he comes up to the NHL, maybe at that point it's to really stay, right? So I think it's a call where it's like Joshua Waugh, we see as maybe being a little bit more part of the longer term future of the Montreal Canadiens. So we want to take some time, but of course we do need some reinforcements, right now from Laval, right? So there's probably a really good chance that he's going to be staying with us for the rest of this year. It definitely hurts the Laval Rocket a little bit as they're kind of battling to get in the playoffs for them. But, obviously, the big club really needs the help. But you have to feel like with these moves, with the Sean Monahan trade, with, kind of bringing up some AHL guys, all the same kind of into the lineup. Do you think that the Montreal Canadiens, are they best served by getting a top 10 pick this year? Do you think that this is what Kent Hughes is more or less aiming to kind of do?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's hard to say that they're aiming to lose more games, but in essence, I think so. And I think it would help them a lot. And I think a lot of people are saying the Habs are maybe one more good draft pick away from being a very, very solid team with an elite farm system if they don't have one already. And here's one of my reasons why, Jesse. I think it's because you look at how well the team has performed compared to expectations so far this season, how well they played in so many games, how few blowout losses they have this year compared to last year. Not zero, but fewer. And you don't have Kirby Dach for pretty much the whole year. You go 10 to 12 weeks without Alex Newhook. Christian Dvorak is now also out for the season. Cole Caufield was in a massive slump. All of these things, plus a goaltender carousel, Savard missing time. Despite all of those things, this team is doing better than expected. And I feel like if you can get a really good draft pick along with these amazing developments and strides this team's taken this season, I feel like that can only be a great thing for the future.
And that's what they really need, is really that top quality, right? Because we see so many teams are kind of in the middle of the pack. There's so much parity in the NHL. So you really need to kind of get that elite talent to really kind of take you over the top, right? I think that's what's really needed, right? So I think at Hughes, like, we're not trying to do this. We're going with how the season goes. Of course, the injury to Kirby Dach doesn't help, but I think given the circumstances that the Canadiens have shown a lot of heart, so they're really not as far away as it might seem, to kind of your point, like maybe kind of one further draft pick, then kind of using some of our assets, some free agent signings, and I think we could really make something happen. But I think we're doing good by still taking our time. Of course, we don't want to lose, but we need to make sure we're doing this rebuild right. So, in 2-3 years, we're not doing the same thing again. We want to do it now. Let's bide our time. Still keep that positive culture. That's why I'm not too worried right now about the losing. I feel like we got the right coach right now in Martin St. Louis, because it's a big thing, right? You don't want that losing culture to kind of set in. Feel like we have the right environment, so I'm really not, too worried about it. And yeah, I think we'll definitely get that talent that this team needs.
Yeah, 100%. It's really, really exciting looking forward. Can't wait to see how Condotta and Gignac do in the coming weeks. But the thing is, it's not just them, Jesse. We got some amazing news. I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard this already, but our boy, Newey, he's back. He's all over Twitter. He's all over social media because we all love him. Of course, Pride, St. John's, Newfoundland. He is a full participant in Canadiens practice today. Nick Suzuki was also on the ice after a busy weekend that I'm sure he really enjoyed. Anyway, I'm sure he did. He had a good time. But Alex Newhook, Jesse, this is a guy I'm seeing a lot of people on Habs Twitter kind of surprisingly saying, "Oh gosh, oh God, no, don't play him at center." I don't know. I feel like you're on the same board as me. Like where I kind of just want to see more from him at center. I think this is the best time to experiment. If he's not quite ready for the first few games after the All-Star break, maybe you see Gignac take a bit more of a load at center, or Condotta, whatever it may be. It seems like Condotta's probably the guy who's going to get sent down after this. That's my guess. After Newhook comes back, if he plays center. But Jesse, 7 goals, 6 assists in the 23 games. Before he got injured, he was really picking it up. What are you expecting from Newhook when he comes back? Because now it seems like they're going to Gignac, Newhook. We're going for a bit of a smaller, speedy game now. It's going to bring a very different dynamic to this roster.
I expect to see Newhook really bring that energy, right? And really, coming at a position which, we really kind of need right now, so definitely welcome, to have his speed and everything else, because his style of play, it suits the Habs so well. We just didn't get to see enough, right? And in the preseason, I really liked his game at center, the way that he plays with such speed. I feel like him playing at center ice, it kind of gives him a more space to kind of wheel and deal, but probably just needs a little bit more reps in there, not just with the Habs, but in the NHL as a whole, to kind of figure out if he's a center or winger. I think that's kind of a decision that in Martin St. Louis, that Kent Hughes, will kind of want to make sooner than later, just to kind of help with his trajectory, to really kind of firm down, okay, this is the details of the game you want to concentrate on night in, night out, but I'm really just looking forward to him really just being that offensive presence a little bit that we need on this team, right? And interesting to see if like Slav is going to be playing with him maybe on the second line. Is Slav going to be back on the first line? So interesting to see how that'll shake out as well.
Yeah, I mean, his face-off percentage is maybe one of the biggest drawbacks of him. I think he's below 40% or maybe around 40% this year. Never been a 50% guy in his career, but people can change. People can really improve, right? So we'll see. But as for the lines, I think you're right. Like, there's a lot of questions now with Monahan gone. Marty St. Louis said today he's still not sure who's going to fill in on the top power play with Monahan's absence. My gut would tell me that it's probably Newhook, or maybe they go with 2 defensemen. I don't know. Like, I think there's going to be some interesting mix-ups. Hope it's not Anderson, but at the same time, maybe he can get a resurgence. I don't know. But the big thing is with the main lines, Jesse, and I want Slav back on the top line. At this point, you put him with Monahan. They had great chemistry. That line with him, Monahan, and Armia was doing work. Do you just put him back on the top line? Do you maybe put Newhook back on the top line, a place where he's had some success with Suzuki? Like, what is your prediction for this top line? It's going to be Caufield, Suzuki, and who? Because my prediction coming out of this All-Star break, I think it's going to be Slav for now, and I do think they were probably planning to play Newhook at center just because of the lack of depth, but I can see them mixing it up a bit.
I think Slafzilla all the way. I think that's really the go-to. That's the first line of the future until anything kind of really big changes the core of this team. That's what it's going to be all the way. We know he can be a terror on that top line. He can drive the play. Just capable of just incredible feats of athleticism and everything else, right? So, I think that they just need more reps. They need more time together. Like, for me, it's almost criminal to kind of separate them when these are all such young players. Like, they just need the time together. The more time they can get together, the better it is going to be for the future of this team. I don't think we need to beat around the bush. I think We've identified a key trio for this team, and I think we need to do everything to put an emphasis on that and its development right now.
Yeah, for sure. I think more time together, let them grow together. I think that's what I'd like to see, but you never really know. I mean, is there a world where we got Condotta and Gignac down the middle along with Suzuki and Evans, and you see Newhook playing the wing? Yeah, I don't think it's impossible. I think this is the time to experiment now that you've committed to moving Monahan, and I'm sure more moves are coming. I'd be willing to almost guarantee that Pearson's going to get traded. Armia probably less likely, but you're probably going to see at least one more forward traded before the deadline, and so there's going to be some more mixing up. But what do you guys think down below? Who would you want to see on the top line? I think it should be Slav. I think Jesse thinks it should be Slav. But what do you guys think? And where do you think Newhook projects long term? Center or wing? We'd love to hear from you. But that'll do it for this episode of Habs Digest. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment, subscribe to the channel. If you want to stay up to date on all the best Habs news, this is your spot. I've been your host, Josh Gosse, for my co-host, Jesse Poirier. We'll catch you in the next one.